Good evening. Aloha from tropical Montana, Montana Skywatcher. Hey, today is November 6th, 2017. This is Samuel Hofman. How you guys doing out there today? Hey, I figured I'd give you a heads up. I know it's been a long-awaited video. I haven't been able to get to it. Been dealing with a lot of the fire smoke issues and the kids and all sorts of other stuff, and I figured I'd give you guys a heads up. Here's the older drawing from 10/14, October. And 2017, and this is what was going on. Now I've got a lot more stuff in the thing today, or in this drawing, excuse me, because I wanted to give everybody the heads up of what's going on near the sun, because there's a lot of objects that we don't generally talk about, but those of you guys who are on top of it, you can figure out what I'm showing. And the cube's been sighted an awful lot lately. Tim has been sighted a lot lately. Lead object's been fantastically huge. The object cluster group, there's been a lot of really phenomenal pictures coming in. There's been some huge changes. Of course, Attu's white moon has been desperately on the scene, and I truly believe that's what's causing the effect on the tides on the oceans and the increase in earthquakes, all sorts of extreme weather. My friend and I were out in Clinton, Montana, and I got the opportunity to drive all the way through Missoula and then back down to Lolo. And I saw the show of my life where I saw the bottom of Attu's moon. I was looking directly up underneath it because it was so close. It was like a huge planet balloon floating just above my town over the top of Missoula. And I got a pretty clear sighting of it on the first day that it came in the way that it did on a close pass. And I'd like to get to that, and I'll discuss what's going on with that with the cutouts. And so anyway, I'd like to give you a heads up because this is a fast transition. There's been a lot of changes. Nana and Melsaru are showing indications of signs. There is the blue tool star visibility of the blue that's been next to the sun a lot lately. This is, of course, changed depending on your point of view and where your angle is. So this is always a little bit different than the actual drawing, but the placement is generally the same. And this is, of course, in reference to either at eastern sunshine in the morning or western sunset in the evening. And it's generally, the point with it is that most of the planets are between us and the sun, and so we're still seeing the interaction. However, there's been a lot of nighttime sightings. There's sightings behind the moon. There's been purple objects and dark objects cutting off the moonlight and all sorts of other cool stuff that you guys really ought to look into, because planets are actually being seen in that pitch black out there at night beyond our vision. But everybody expects what Hollywood talks about, as, oh, here's a planet, it's this big, beautiful, illuminated planet. Well, out in space, things are dark, 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 dark. So anyway, depending on the angle of how it's facing the sun, where the sun is, et cetera, at night, then it's going to be harder to see, but you'll get brief glimpses of stuff, the color diffusions and everything in the sunsets. Example, where the planets are, what planets where, the red, the green, the purple, the blue, all of the above. Anyway, let's get to the thing. I may do a little bit longer video today. I'm not totally sure the length of what we're about to do. And of course, I'm going to start out with my cutoffs being impossible to find as usual. Now, hopefully everybody knows that Nibiru has predominantly been on the right-hand side of the sun. So we will stick with that. On the right-hand side has been Nibiru generally for the longest time. Now, up until about February of last year, Nibiru wasn't even on the scene because it was so far over to the right that we had other planets blocking it, so we didn't see it. For you new folks who aren't with this and haven't been up to speed on it. And Saru, for the longest time, was actually behind because that whole group moved its way over, and then Saru ended up literally behind Nibiru back in as well. But then we have changed. We've come around in a different manner as of February of this year. So Saru is here. Nibiru is there. Okay, sorry about the pen mark. My kids are around occasionally. Okay, Nepacity has been sighted for the longest time in front of Saru and cutting off into the sun. A lot of you guys are seeing weird solar occurrences of either a cut-off sun or a squared sun, and that's because these planets come in and they pinch the light off, and that it makes a notable major edge. Okay, now Isatum for the longest time, at one point in time, mid last year, was above the sun. It had this directional connection. It went over this way, went over this way, then went over this way. Now, I believe sightings are starting to say that she's headed this direction. We had some crossover in front of the sun the other day, which is on video on my personal wall. It's really cool. I hope you get the opportunity to see it. But I believe that Isatum is getting bigger now, otherwise I would have a smaller circle. And it is lower and below Nibiru, but possibly still in between Nibiru and yet coming at 2. Now, what was going on with at 2 in the transition in the last few months is at 2 has come back over the top of the head of the top of us. At2 was here, and she's gotten bigger and bigger and closer and closer. And this is where the event with the At2 and At2's moon is coming in. Now, At2 has gotten huge. For a period of time, for a few weeks, it was over here, and now she's coming in like this, real big over the top of us and cutting off the light. And there's a lot of light cutoff going on, and in a lot of pictures, you guys can see that light cutting off. And fortunately, my overhead lamp isn't helping us here in a lot of that. But anyway, this is what's going on with At2. Now, At2 got bigger. She got a whole lot bigger, and along with At2 spatial moon got, whoops, excuse me, I've got the Uri thing going up. And by the way, speaking of Uri has been sighted overhead along the side of Saru like that, and the Pesidi has been slightly behind Uri. Okay, now At2's moon has come in, and it is literally illuminating, and we're seeing all kinds of major sightings where everybody's calling it the second sun, but yet they're seeing clouds around it. That's because it's literally over the top of Earth. This is what's affecting our tidal flow. We now have this big, huge, and I mean, it's huge because we've seen sightings directly over the top of us, and I've seen this by eye repeatedly over and over again. Now, in some cases, it's going to be underneath the sun, and in some cases, I saw it this morning where over in Japan, their point of view is they see At2 farther over, and the moon was down over here. But anyway, back to our view in the United States. This puppy was over the top of us all last week and the week before, and At2's moon is close, and they've been creating this major wind eddy effects, which have been going on, and freak storms and all of this other stuff. And I also want to point out that the object cluster group has gotten massive and huge, and it's always been coming down around the outside of At2. It comes around, and sometimes we get a side view of it, and sometimes we get an upward view of it, depending on where you are versus this whole group of stuff. So a lot of what's been coming on is we're seeing the base of Nepacity during the day, and she gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it comes in right behind At2. And then I don't currently have a big, larger green to show you, but then At2's moon also comes in and then heads out again. And these do this daily. Now, there's been a lot of major sightings of the object cluster group, and now the breakaway lead object. And that's also blending in and mixing in with the overall facial occurrences in the sky and in the clouds and in the overall upper atmosphere between At2's moon, the lead object, and then the object cluster group. And there are even at little definitive angle changes from time to time where the lead object is being sighted. And I saw a picture of it the other day from Sharon Arbic. Thank you, Sharon. And it was massive, which shows you this puppy, it comes around At2. And when At2 comes in and gets huge as well, so does this thing. And it gets big and big and big and big. And I saw pictures of it the other day, and it was so massive I couldn't believe it. I had to go compare it to other pictures to actually believe I knew what I was looking at. So we've been doing this for a long time here at Montana Skywatchers 2, for 7.5, almost 8 years. And I want you guys to know that we know what we're talking about. We know what we're seeing. This is the heads up. I mean, this stuff is right on top of it. It's just affecting us. It's affecting our Earth weather. It's affecting everything. And Bobby Allen's been crazy all week, so I figure I better mention, hi, Bobby Allen, how you doing? Anyway, guys, keep up the good work. Keep sending the member pictures in. Keep letting me know what's going on from where you see it, and I'll keep telling you what's the collective point of view is, and I hope this was informative, and I hope this filled in the things that you need. Now remember, these puppies are huge. They're massive. You're not looking through telescopes. You don't need any of that stuff. You don't need binoculars. You need gray-black sunglasses. a good handheld camera, and a little while sitting outside watching and understanding what's going on. Now remember, there's cloud bases, cloud bases to the planet, not bases in the clouds, but cloud bases to the planets, and they all have a particular regular cloud base that if over time you'll end up learning. There's an upcoming supposable blackout of the light, and NASA's explaining it to be space gases about to envelop our sun and change the sun exterior into a blue, outputting 15, 20-day blue sun instead of a red sun. I don't understand the premise. I don't fully understand how the suns work, but I think that sounds pretty darn hooey and almost like space gases, if you ask, I mean, swamp gases, like they always try to talk about UFO sightings. Oh, that was swamp gases. But anyway, I think what's coming on is we're going to see a blocking of Nibiru. I really believe that Nibiru is about to go in front of our, our sun, and then its spatial tool star, it's a mini little blue star that it keeps on its atmosphere. I think we'll end up seeing that, and it'll be a bright ultraviolet blue tiny sun, and it'll look weird. But don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. And they can't help but lie, because they have to tell you it's gases from another solar system, because they don't want to admit that we currently have one mixed in the middle of ours. Anyway, I've talked for a little over 11 minutes. You guys take care. Aloha from tropical Montana, Skywatchers 1 and 2, Samuel Hofman. And you guys take care, and we'll hope to talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.